TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey gang, it is Friday. It's the best day to be, it's one of the two best days, Fridays and Mondays, to be betting on Major League Baseball because, excuse me, we have new matchups, new teams, and generally on Friday, the sports books has to try to figure out what they're doing, and we can find some spots. And Daniel Berry, hello there, and says, hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday. It's good to get the weekend started. We got baseball today. I got a full slate of games tomorrow. Plus, we got a whole bunch of NFL preseason games if you're into that. We got a lot of those. So a lot of things we can be dealing with. And I think tomorrow's show I'll be going over some NFL preseason stuff, not so much today. So a couple of things here. First of all, one of the games that I wanted to talk about today has been getting a little bit of action. So we might not be getting the best number, but it's still a pretty good spot. So we'll talk about those. I got 4 spots for you to kind of look at today. And we'll just get started because it's 6:15, 6:16, whatever that time it is. But these games go 6:40, 6:50, 7:10. So we want to get some of these games out of the way. So the first spot, and this is going to be, let me get my stuff over here. There we go. The first spot today we're going to talk about is 969, 970 rotation numbers. This is Kansas City at Cincinnati. And I don't think most people realize what Nick Martinez is doing right now for Cincinnati. I mean, I just don't think people realize really how good he is. So I made a list today of the starting pitchers by xwOBA. Okay, so weighted on base percentage predicted. And the number one pitcher of all the pitchers, number one of all of them, which includes Skeens and Nelson and Sean Gilbert and Burns, and there's some good pitchers out here today. Crochet's pitching today, Garrett Cole's pitching today. The number one pitcher in xwOBA today, so xwOBA is weighted on base percentage against the pitcher in this particular case, predicted. So based on what he's pitching as now and all that, it's kind of a predicted number. The best pitcher on the whole board is Nick Martinez. It's the best one. So theoretically, he's going to be able to hold the opponent's offense best about not getting on base, not giving up hits, not doing any of that stuff. Now, I will caution the one thing here is that he's not going to go deep in this game. He's not going to go 7-8 innings. I don't think he's going to go 6. So, his deal is going to be five innings, and then he's gone. So, depending on how you look at it and kind of how you want to kind of figure out how to manipulate this, you want to take advantage of those things. So he's in that spot. And Michael Lorenzen, his guy that he's facing, there's 24 pitchers or so today, something like that. I mean, there's obviously a bunch of games, but the ones that I graded out, there's 24 pitchers, and Michael Lorenzen's 15th in that category, and he's in the below average, but not necessarily the worst 25%. So Martinez is the best. So when you start to think about it, and you look at this number, the issue becomes is this game opened Cincinnati. Where is it? Cincinnati. It opened Cincinnati minus 130. Bookmaker right now is 143, and DraftKings is 142, Circus 135, Bookmaker Superbook's 135. So you can get anywhere from 135 to 145. So kind of in that range. Now, my number on the game in this particular matchup, here we go. My number on this game is Cincinnati minus 142. So as long as you're in that ballpark, 140, 138, 135, you have an EV positive bet, and you're looking at Martinez over Lorenzen. Now here's where this game kind of gets a little complicated. Lorenzen is 4.86, 4.69, 5.8 FIP. That's XFIP, Sierra, and FIP numbers. Those are the worst 25% of all baseball. So he's not necessarily the worst on the board today. That's going to be Paul Quantrill in Colorado, and we're going to work on him in a minute. But Lorenzen is in that spot where, he was picked up at the trade deadline. And since the trade deadline happened and all these guys are pitching on all these different teams, if I can look at it by all those guys, he's the worst one so far of being picked up. Kikuchi's done well. Blackburn's done well. Eflin's done well. Flaherty's done well. You go through all these guys, Lorenzen, no go. So, but at the same time, he's taken the place of Brandon Marsh. So Brandon Marsh wasn't getting good either. So theoretically, he's just out there as a guy that, maybe can give him some innings, get through some stuff. But the issue is Lorenzen walk rate is 4.60. It's in the worst 25% of baseball. Batting average against is 324, and his whip rate is 191. You can't win baseball games by having two guys on per inning. You just can't. So, and I get it. The Reds are a team that is an enigma because if you look at the way they perform, and I'm going to go through the standings for 1 second because I want to share one thing with you about the Reds. The Reds, one of the things you have to do when you look at standings is, you're going to look at games back and all that stuff for playoff seeding and playoffs implications and all that stuff. But if you go to, say, wild card standings, what's interesting is in the American League, all the green, which is run differential to the positive, all of those are all the ones that are there battling for playoff spots. Everything red, nobody's making it. Okay, so nationally, you do the same thing. It's the same thing until you get to the Reds. The Reds are plus 55 in run differential. So they're actually a pretty good team. Plus 55, for example, is better than the Atlanta Braves, who are plus 41. So when you start to think about what it is that is killing the Reds, they've got some other issues going on. It's inconsistency in performance. They've got a superstar in De La Cruz, but De La Cruz is inconsistent. Their offense is inconsistent. So when you get an offense like that, that's good, and they're going to go against a pitcher who walks guys, gives up home runs, lets guys get on base, it doesn't take a whole lot for the Reds to capitalize. So on the other side, the Royals offense, they're going to have to work today. Martinez is the number one pitcher on the board with weighted runs created, or not weighted runs created, ex-WOBA. So it's a big deal. And then when you flip it over and you kind of look at, all right, where is Martinez? Martinez, he hasn't started a lot of games. He's been their kind of long relief guy, but he started the last two. And in those last two games, he's been awesome, like superstar awesome. 7 game scores in the 70s in both games. So there is a thought that he's due for a regression spot. That could happen. Maybe he's over his skis a little bit in time for a setback. So that's a possibility today. But what I was looking at that kind of makes me think no, his WPA, so winning percent added, is plus 0.94. That's the best on the board today. So, and it's not even close. The Schwellenbach and Soriano are the next ones, and they face each other. So this is a spot where I don't expect him to all of a sudden go out and make a whole bunch of mistakes when he's not making them already. He might not be as effective, or he might not be as good, or whatever. But I think that ideally it's a good spot, right? So I think other people think it's a good spot too. It says, what do you see the final score in the Reds of Royals game? Hey, Matt T, how you doing today? My score predictor on that game, if I can get to it, Reds and Royals. So has Cincinnati 7, Royals 4. So it's a big score, 7-4. And there's a problem too with the Royals. So in the first 5 innings, I've got Kansas City scoring one run, and Cincinnati scoring 3. So you can see if it gets to 11 and they only scored 4, there's a bullpen issue going on here that I think kind of comes into play too. So later in the game, I think you run into the Royals, who I think they made a good move at the deadline, getting I don't know how to say his name. I think his name's Ursig from Oakland. I think that was a great play for them. They don't have a guy in the bullpen other than that guy who throws hard enough and or has an out pitch, right? You get 2 strikes on these guys, you got to put them away, and they don't have guys other than him that can do that. So I think that's an advantage Reds, because the Reds do. The Reds have had a decent bullpen all season. So I think you got a back-end advantage with the Reds. I think you got a front-end advantage with the Reds. And then when it comes to offense in this game, offensively, you have Cincinnati is what kind of intrigued me here. They're rated 19th in offensive WAR, which isn't great. I mean, 19 is, almost bottom third. And where the Royals are 13th, so the Royals have an advantage. But that advantage all goes away when you look at isolated power. Isolated power, Kansas City's 11th, Cincinnati's number 2. So Cincinnati's hitting home runs, they're hitting extra bases, they're getting doubles, triples, they're getting the stuff that are damaging blows, and they're facing a pitcher that allows that. So that's a helpful spot to be in for your offense, especially when your offense is kind of inconsistent. If they can just get a couple guys on and start hitting doubles and triples, this game could be wide open pretty quick, because it's in Cincinnati, it's a small little bandbox. They can do a lot of damage there. So I like that idea. Steer's the only one really driving the bus for them. They only got 2 guys over 1 WAR, so they got 4 guys pulling away. So that's not necessarily the best offensive performance. But like I said, I think that isolated power going against what's his name, I think will be good. Going against Lorenzen, I think is fine. Lorenzen might get a couple of strikeouts here and there, but he's going to put guys on base. And two per inning is kind of the expectation here, and then he's out of the game, within 5 innings, and then you put in a bullpen that's not that good, and then all of a sudden you've got an advantage Red. So I think that's probably a good play. I think you start to lose the value in some of this stuff as it gets bet up, and when it opened at 130 and my number is 142, I'm looking at it going, yeah, this is a good spot. And then it started creeping up, and now it's getting closer to that 140 number. So if you can get it anywhere between 135 and 140, I think you're good. Once you start getting over 140, I think your value's gone in the play. It's played out. The bet's kind of like in football. If you have the opportunity to bet a line, say at -2.5, and the bet goes past the 3 and it's at 3.5. You don't bet it at 3.5 when you could have bet it at 2.5. You just pass. You missed your spot. It's not a spot where you want to bet, because it's at some point your return on investment opportunity isn't as good as it was, and because of that you have to pick another spot. So I think that's play number 1 today. We're going to look at the Cincinnati Reds, and then when I looked at these boards and started kind of coming up with stuff, one of them stands out to me like crazy. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, we talk about these teams that are on runs, and right now, if you're not betting Arizona Diamondbacks, you shouldn't be betting baseball. You got to be betting Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah, I bet them. and you got to bet the San Diego Padres. Those are the two teams you got to bet. San Diego Padres in the last 20 games won 17-3. And when it comes to the Diamondbacks, they're 17-3 as well. So you got to bet those teams that are winning, but also winning with having superior offense. And when you look at what's going on with Arizona, go to Arizona, they're scoring 7.7 runs a game. Holy whatever, right? 7.7 runs a game is hard to beat. You can't beat that hardly. So their isolated power is 5th. They're 61% better than an average team. They have 7 guys in their lineup that are over 1 offensive WAR. They got 4 guys over 2. They're deep. So if one guy decides, okay, well, I'm kind of hitting that rut spot, I'm not hitting anymore, they got a whole bunch of guys that are. So that should be able to give you the courage, I guess is a good word, that everybody isn't dependent on one guy. You know, there are teams out here that play all the time, and their offense is all, like Toronto Blue Jays. If Vladimir Guerrero is not hitting, you can't bet on that team. So this is a team that everybody contributes, and it's amazing. They're number 1, scoring 7.7 runs a game. And you know who they play today? They play the Tampa Bay Rays, obviously, but the Tampa Bay Rays, they rank number 30 in baseball. You know how many teams there are in baseball? 30. So that's not very good when you're 30th out of 30, and you're trying to be number 1, right? You're trying to score a bunch of runs and be offensively, it's great, and you're the last. That's not very good. They've scored 12 runs in the last 6 games, averaging 2 runs a game. They're just they got 2 guys over 1 offensive WAR, and they got 7 guys under or 1 offensive WAR or worse. So 7 guys pulling away from their offense, only 2 guys contributing, nobody over 2 WAR, so nobody driving the bus, and they're playing the number 1 offense in baseball with, and this is the other part, with, you go look at Pepio coming back from the disabled list, okay? So I'm going to say this until I'm not wearing a blue shirt, so I was going to say until my face turns blue. But the reality is when these guys come off the disabled list, and it's an in-season injury, okay? So it's not like a guy that's making his first start that's had 4 or 5 tune-up starts and all that stuff coming up, and it's his first start of the season. This is a guy who's pitched already. He got hurt, so they've given him time to get healthy. He's not the same pitcher the first time out. He might not be the second or third or fourth time. It takes them a few starts to get there. So Pepio, in his best, for the whole season, Pepio is a game score 53. So that's a little bit above average. He's a good pitcher, right? I mean, he's an above average pitcher. But I'm not expecting him to throw a 53 today. I'm expecting him to be a below average start today, and I don't know that he's going to go 5 innings. He's a strikeout guy. And here's the interesting thing. Where did Tampa Bay get Pepio from? Well, he was a Dodger. He's pitched against Arizona before, so it's not like they haven't seen him. Now, he's had a reasonable amount of success, but he has been seen by this Diamondbacks offense. And with the way the Diamondbacks are performing right now, I expect them to go out and just continue to do what they've been doing. I think they're gonna rock and roll today. And Nelson on the other side has turned the switch. Like, I think they've got a pitching problem now in Arizona, right? Because they got Merrill Kelly back. They have Eduardo Rodriguez now. So you got those 2 guys. Plus you have Gallen, and you have the other kid. What's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I'll find him. I guess it doesn't really matter. But the other kid, the best pitcher they got. He is. Let me go get him because I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Diamondbacks. We're talking about Fad. right? So now, and they got Montgomery. So now you got 6. You cannot take Nelson and go, hey, you can't pitch anymore. The reason is because if I look at over the last 30 days and I go to starting pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks, the best starting pitcher they have is Ryan Nelson. He's the best. He's a 1 WAR. Fad is a 9.9. Gallon's a 0.6. Montgomery's a 0.2. Merrill Kelly's a 0.1. Eduardo Rodriguez is a 0.0 because those guys haven't pitched much. So now you got 6 guys. So I don't know what they're going to do in terms of their pitching rotation, but you certainly can't take your best pitcher out. So think about this, right? You have the Arizona Diamondbacks. You have their best pitcher on the mound. They're the number 1 offense going against the number 30 offense in baseball. And a pitcher coming off the disabled list, and you're the underdog. Come on, man. So I know they're not the underdog now. The line's been bet up to -110. I'm okay with that. So I bet it earlier today, and the number that I gave out, they were the underdog. And where are we now? I go there. It was 110 just a little bit ago. So I see him at 111, 112, 115, 111. So the cutoff for that game, when I looked at it, where's my Arizona numbers? I have Arizona -129, 129. So you're good to 115 or whatever on this bet. He's the number 4 pitcher today, Nelson. Number 4. He's the number 4 pitcher today in terms of xWOBA. Number 4. And I don't have a grade for Pepio because he hasn't pitched. So Brian says, hey, I bet the Blue Jays today lost in 10 innings, but Guerrero went 0 for 5. LOL. Yeah. Look, I don't know what to tell you about some of these games. It's like it's hard, and you're going to find this to be tougher from here on in. So one of the things, Brian, I think that we need to really do and with Major League Baseball is there's going to be games like, let's see, I'm trying to find one here, for example, that has little to, well, a lot of these games are still mattering. So Toronto and Chicago, neither one of them are really making any kind of noise towards the playoffs. I guess you could sit there and say the Cubs are kind of hanging around, but they're not really making any noise for the playoffs. So they become sort of more meaningless kind of games. And when they have sort of meaningless kind of games, the reality becomes is they're harder to get a good feel for. And I think one of the ways you attack games like that is you look at totals, because if nobody really is out there, Toronto's they're not going to go tell you that they're not trying to win the game. I know they scored 3 runs late to tie the game, but I guess my point being is this: is there's no real incentive unless players have incentives, and that comes up sort of in the last week of the season or so. But if none of these teams really have super incentive to win the game, then don't ask them to. The better thing to ask them to do is score runs, because they don't mind doing that. Neither team, they don't mind scoring runs. So look at totals, look at overs, and try to see if you can come up with some kind of plays there. I've got burned the last 2 nights. Yesterday I got killed with who was it? It was the Detroit Tigers hitting the 2-run home run against Seattle. I was on Seattle, and I knew that the pitcher was going to do really good, Miller, and he did. He was awesome. And then They bring in the closer who hasn't given up any runs and gives up a home run to Javier Baez. Now, I will say this, watching the game, I knew here's how I watch a game, right? First pitch he throws him is a slider. Okay, he missed. Second pitch was a slider. He swung at it, he missed. Third pitch was a slider. He's outside, he missed. So I go, okay, you need to throw him your 100-mile-an-hour fastball because they put in Munoz, right? Throw him the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, let him swing at it, and then throw him a slider and just get him out. So what do? The fourth slider in a row, right over the middle of the plate, bing, there goes the home run. So they made a mistake in pitch selection and then obviously execution of the pitch. And it cost them the game. And obviously cost me my bet. So that happened to me. And then the night before was the night that the Texas Rangers hit a 3-run home run down to their last out in the last inning to tie the game, and then they won in overtime, extra innings. And it's just baseball, man. It comes and goes, and it goes up and down, and it just is what it is. So you just have to persevere and think about it. Like I give all this data and all these numbers and all these things to my guys. Well, I got upset at myself and upset at the situation. So I decided to change what I was looking at. So I decided for the next 2 or 3 days, and this was a couple of days ago, the next 2 or 3 days, I wasn't going to put out all the data and all the information. I was going to put out some of it, maybe not all of it. So I did. And, the results go just like what has happened here, where I get these, bad breaks and bad things happen. That stuff's, you can't control that. All you can control, and it's the absolute hardest thing in the world to deal with baseball betting, because, you're trying to get outcomes and positive results. You can't grade yourself on that. You just can't, because you're not in control of it. The only thing you're in control of is making good bets. And if the good bets turn out to be in your favor, then they turn out to be in your favor, and you keep rolling, right? And over the course of 1,000 bets, you're gonna get there. Like I've made, I don't know, 250, 300 bets in baseball so far. I'm not going to make 1,000 bets this year. So my variance could be strong. At the beginning of the year, I had 15, 16 plus units, whatever it is. I don't have that many now. They're all gone. They've kind of, because of all the minutia stuff that happens, right? So as we're going through it, you just keep working at it, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you're back to 10 units, right? So I like the way you stated it, though. It says, I bet the Jays today they lost in 10 innings, but Guerrero went 0 for 5, LOL, right? At least there's a little bit of humor there, because ultimately, you got to do some stuff. Now, one of the things that I did, and I didn't release this to my guys, so if my guys are watching, then they can do it. I decided I thought I would play because I don't do this stuff very often. I wanted to do some little prop bet today. So I did a prop parlay bet. I don't expect to win, but every day when I put out my offensive numbers, I break them down by players and by team and who's hot and what's going on. So I went through all my list, right? And these are the guys that are doing really well. So I came up with a list of guys, and then I went and looked at numbers and said, I think these guys can all get RBIs. So I have Philadelphia and Harper today as one of the guys in this little parlay. Is Harper and to get an RBI, and he's facing Corbin, and he's crushed Corbin. And then another one I have is Miami and Berger. Now Berger's been awesome. His numbers, by the way, just so that you guys kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. When I go to offense and I break these players down, so Harper's leading the Phillies. He's got 2.6 offensive WAR right now, but he's also in checking data, right? He's really good against Patrick Corbin. All he's got to do is get an RBI. So somebody's got to get on him, and then he knocks him in. And then Berger, I've got for Miami today, and he's facing Manaea. He's been good against Manaea in the past, and he's a 7.0 offensive WAR. He is driving the bus for Miami. He's the hottest I've ever seen him. So that being said, I want to take a shot with him. So he's an RBI guy. And my last RBI guy I put on there was Jackson Merrill in San Diego. And San Diego today plays Quantrill, and he is on the list at 3.0, and he's faced him before and got hits and stuff. So I bet, and listen, I don't normally do this. So I'm like, I don't know how much to bet. So I bet $30, right? I don't normally ever bet $30. But I bet $30. If I win those three guys parlayed, all they got to do, each one of them get an RBI, I win $313. So I was like, I'll just give it a shot and see what happens. So if you like that, go ahead and play it. But it's Harper, Berger, and Merrill all to get an RBI, over a half an RBI. That was the number that I got, and that's the payout that I got. So I thought, okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that baseball affords you a lot of things, but if you don't have fun with it, that makes it harder to maintain that enthusiasm to bet them every day, right? Because it's a grind, man. There's 14, 15 games almost every single day. And, that's 30 pitchers you got to figure out, and 30 offenses and 30 batters. And I mean, it's just holy cow. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. So I went over the Arizona play. I went over the Cincinnati play. So let me give you two more that I think are probably pretty good. And one of them goes at, I think it was 8:00. And this game is this is going to be Texas and Minnesota. And you have Woods Richardson on the mound, and he's facing Heaney. Now, Heaney is an interesting guy because the truth is he's pitched pretty well. In fact, I think this is the second best year that he's ever had. He in terms of WAR and numbers and things, he's done very well, but he just can't win games. And so if you can't win games as a bettor, you can't bet on him. You got to bet against him. So that's what I'm doing. I'm betting against him today. Heaney has made 23 starts, 23. He's won 7 games. He's 7-16. So that's just not very good, really, especially for the defending champs, right? And on the other side of that, Simeon Woods Richardson, people don't even know who he is. He's made 20 starts. He's won 13 times. He's 13-7. So the one caution I'm going to throw out here is Woods Richardson is about at an innings spit situation where he's not really surpassed before. So he's getting into uncharted waters, and his performance over his last 30 days aren't as good as his performance over the whole season. But that's not 100% the whole picture of this game. So the first thing is you got to go look at it and go, what's your line, right? So if I look at it in my number on this game, if I can get it to the right thing, there we go. My number on this game, I have Minnesota the favorite -128. Minnesota -128. The actual line is Texas -120. So there's a hell of a lot of value in terms of my mind going into this from this perspective that, man, I got him at the wrong team favored and the wrong team favored by quite a bit, to be honest. So now I go back and I look at it and I go, let's break this down a little bit because this is now pretty damn intriguing to me. And I look at it and I go, all right, we just talked about the winning pitching performances from both pitchers. Heaney for the season is a game score 50. But if you go back, where is Heaney at? If you go back probably, I don't know, 3-4 starts ago, he's doing pretty good. He's got some game score 60s in there. But his problem is he's got a game score 39, 35, 45, 39, all mixed in there. And he's going to face a team that can hit. I mean, Minnesota can hit. And when you look at them, Minnesota is wrong team. There you go. I'm like, where'd they go? Minnesota is 11% better than an average offense versus left-handed pitchers. And Texas, they don't hit against right-handed pitchers. They're 8% worse than an average offense, which is their whole problem altogether. This whole Texas team doesn't hit with all those guys that can. They just don't. They're minus 8%, which is actually in the worst bottom of baseball. They're not very good. So I'm over the last 20 games, the Texas Rangers only won 6 times. They're 6-14. So what makes you think they should be a favorite over a team that's fighting like hell to catch the Cleveland Guardians? They're 12-8 in their last 20 games. So I like the idea that you have an offensive team in Minnesota that can do damage against left-handed pitching. That's 12-8 in the last 20 games. So they're above 500. They're doing pretty good. Facing a team that they're kind of down and out against a pitcher who's just average at best. At best, he's average. And at best, you got Woods Richardson, who's probably a little better than average over the course of the season. For the whole season, he's a game score of 52, so he's a little bit better than average. And sometimes that's all you need. Like when you go pull up Heaney and you pull him up on projected WAR numbers, they're about the same, to be honest. That's like I said, Heaney's doing way better than you might think for the course of the season. But over the last 30 days, he's got a 506 xFIP, 501 Sierra. Those aren't good numbers. Those are in the worst 25% of all of baseball. And then where his problems running into is he's not striking anybody out, and he's not having ground ball success. So his issues are he's not got the out pitches. He doesn't have. So he gets the 2 strikes and they get base hits. They put the ball in play. Ball in play advantages are extremely important in baseball. And in this particular case, he's only striking out 6.48 guys, 6.5 guys per 9 innings. And you have Woods Richardson doing almost 9. So I like the idea here that you're seeing this advantage, even though it's small, pitching wise, to go to Minnesota. And then we already talked kind of about the edge that he's got and so forth when it comes to the team momentum, if you want to call it that. Texas only won 7 out of the last 20 games. So then, and these games all these games are dead on important to Minnesota. They gotta win these games. And then offensively, you look at them, Minnesota scoring 5 runs a game. They rank 6th in offensive WAR and 6th in isolated power. And then Texas is 23rd in isolated power. That's the main difference. You've got a pitcher that isn't a ground ball guy and a team isolated power-wise that can do a lot of damage. And they're proven to be able to hit left-handed pitchers. I should look at the other thing, too, and tell you what that is. They've faced 35 left-handed pitchers. They're 20-15, the Minnesota Twins. So I think I said they were 7-13. They're 6-14 in the last 20 games. So I think when you look at this, the wrong team's favored here, and at worst it should be a pick 'em if you want to go that route. So I like Minnesota in this play. I think Minnesota. I bet them at plus 104. I don't know what, if it's minus 120 somewhere, you might be able to get 110. So I think that's pretty good. And then the last spot I have for you guys tonight is, again, we talked about it a little bit just a minute ago. You want to be betting on these teams that are winning and winning through offense and having good pitching to go with it. But specifically winning, because they score a ton of runs. Arizona is one of them. The other one's San Diego. Now, San Diego is in a spot where I don't know if you want to go spend the money. I think San Diego's like minus 180, minus whatever they are. Where are they? San Diego. Right now, they opened at minus 180. They're minus 160. So they're on sale if you want to bet them at minus 160. I played them in the first 5 innings. So I like San Diego first 5 innings minus a half a run. They're facing Quantrill today. They faced him before. The only concern I have in this game is it seems to me and it's just weird. But it seems to me that the San Diego Padres, every time they play the Colorado Rockies, just aren't interested. They just could care less about the Colorado Rockies. It's a team that they could beat the hell out of, but for whatever reason, they just kind of go out there and go through the motions against that team. And the troubling part of it is the Rockies' offense doesn't grade out very well. But the truth is, they score runs. So when you're betting against the Rockies, you really want to have a pitcher that can control the offense a little bit. And then the Rockies are never going to throw pitchers out there that you can't hit. So my opinion, the way I bet this game is in the first 5 innings, minus a half a run. And I think I paid minus 110 or minus 105. I can't remember. I got 2 notes on my sheet, so I can't remember which one it is. Because Waldron is pitching on the mound today, and he's a knuckleballer. So there is a lot of concern about what a knuckleball does in light air, not humid air, not heavy air. So he's pitched out there before, and only once that I can recall. And I got his data right here. So let me pull it up for a second. Waldron. I guess I don't have it that way. So let me pull it up that way so that you get an idea. Come here, man. I got 35 windows open today because I got football stuff I was working on. That's the wrong deal. Looks like Arizona's already scored. How about that? So that's good news. So let's go to the right screen because that's the wrong screen. And there we go. Baseball Reference is what I'm looking for. And I wanted to share with you what his line was in that game. So he pitched in Colorado, and this was in April. So April 24th. He threw 6 innings. He gave up 4 hits. He struck out 5, walked 3. Had a game score 62. He did pitch again against Colorado at home in San Diego, and I pitched 5 2/3 innings, gave up 2 hits, struck out 7. So he's proven that Colorado doesn't like to face the knuckleball, and he's proven that he can throw the knuckleball in Colorado. So then I looked at Cal Quantrill, and so over Cal Quantrill's last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, it doesn't matter. Say 7 starts, he's given up less than 3 runs once. And all the starts, it's 3 runs, 7 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs, 2 runs, 5 runs. Now you got to remember, Cal Quantrill's given up these runs in a short amount of innings, 4 innings, 5 innings. So he's getting hammered. He's pitched 32 innings, given up 41 hits, 32 innings, 28 runs, 14 walks. And that's just in his last 7 starts. Game score 40. It's not very good. And he's going to face a team that's won 17 out of the last 20 games. All you got to do is win the first 5 innings, right? And you're the away team. Well, it doesn't really matter, but you're the away team. And my number on this game, if I can find it, because all these things are open, I have Colorado 3-2. I'm sorry, San Diego 3-2 in the first 5 innings. I think it's reasonable to assume that you're going to have a good start again from Waldron. You're going to have a start where Quantrill gets hit, and I think that you've got the opportunity at a minus 110. That's pretty good. So I wanted to take that and use it because I think people also get confused on what teams are good at certain things. And if I flip this over to my bullpens, Colorado goes through spots and spurts where their bullpens are half decent in terms of performance. It's not right this minute. Right this minute, Colorado has pitched 54 innings and given up 66 hits. Now, keep in mind, the average team in the last, when I do a bullpen, it's 14 games, 14 days. The the average number of innings a team is going to pitch is going to be more like 45 to 50. When you're at 66 innings, that's because your starting pitchers aren't going deep in games; they're getting smashed. So I'm going to expect kind of the same thing today, right? I'm going to kind of expect that San Diego goes out there and does well. And when I looked at the offensive side of this and what's going on, San Diego has Peralta at 3.9 WAR, Merrill 3.0 WAR, and Ariz at 2.0 WAR. So they got 3 guys over the 2 WAR. They got a 4th guy at 1 WAR. So they're doing okay. They rank 8th in offense, and Colorado ranks 16th in offense. So there's not this huge gap there. But I think pitching-wise, you got a pitcher that you can take advantage of because he's not a strikeout guy, right? He's a balls in play guy, and when you think about balls in play, and you think about balls in play in at home, it's not good for Colorado, and it shows. Like he's a 113, so he's 13% worse than an average pitcher at home, and Waldron, he likes to be on the road for whatever reason. I guess San Diego is not really conducive to his knuckleball. He's a 98 at home, SOPS plus, and he's an 84 on the road. So that means he's 16% better than the average pitcher on the road against, a so-so offense. So I think that you have an above average pitcher against a pretty good offense that's scoring a lot of runs. They're averaging right now offensively, San Diego, basically 6 runs a game, 5.7. They're scoring a lot. They're getting a lot of hits. So I think first 5 innings just to win it, I think they can do that. I think we're good, right? So that's the 4 plays. That's kind of the night tonight. We got what did we say? We have Cincinnati, Arizona, Minnesota, and San Diego in the first 5 innings. Guys, look. We had a lot of people on. There's 240 people on here today. That's a great number. That's a great number. That's a great night. I will be back tomorrow, noon tomorrow. Now, tomorrow's show, I'm going to have to split it up a little bit, I think, because there's a lot of football tomorrow, and I haven't really talked a lot of preseason football. So I think tomorrow we'll start talking a little bit of that. And see if we can come up with something for some preseason football tomorrow. And certainly, look, it's another full slate of baseball games. So we'll be dealing with baseball again tomorrow. So that'll be noon, maybe 12:15, depending on how fast I can get stuff done. It takes a lot. Like I hand input all this data and information in here. So it takes me hours to just do data entries. Pain in the ass. But anyway, that's the way it works. And then hopefully we keep some scoring in Arizona. I don't know. It was 1-0 there a minute ago. So, and I know they had guys on base. So hopefully they did some more good stuff. And then I guess I will see you tomorrow. So look, have a great night. Just kind of close the way I always do. Please do the show favors, right? Like the show, retweet the show, make comments. We got comments during the show today. Daniel Berry Sports says hello. Matt made a great question about the game. Brian made a good comment today. Make comments, do the things, but when the show's over, make comments and do stuff too, and post it out, because we're growing, and the more we grow, the more sponsorship we can bring in. We can really make this thing fly and do some really fun stuff. So if you want to become a customer, you can do that too. You go to my website, mlb-daily.com. It's a button at the top that says memberships or whatever. You just click the button. I think it's $100 for a whole year. So it's not like I'm ripping people off. And trust me when I tell you, $100 that's not what I bet a game. So it doesn't go to my bank account, to my bankroll. It's none of that stuff. We got to keep driving all this stuff. So anyway, that said, worst case scenario, just go on and sign up for the free newsletters. I say this every time, and follow me on Twitter and all that stuff. But none of that stuff happens. So guys, please do that stuff. It really, really does help. We're up to 245 people watching the show now, and hopefully we can get a good show on Saturday, and we'll go from there. So let's knock out some winners, and let's have a good night. Let's make some money, and I'll see you tomorrow.